All right, Metalheads, this is DJ Rem, and I have Paige from the band Vore on the line. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Not too bad, not too bad. So, we just have you on the line, so I guess if you could start with just go ahead and mention the other members of the band and what everybody's spots are.
Sure. Vore is myself, Paige Townsley, on guitars and vocals, Remy Cameron on the drums, and Jeremy Parton on the bass.
Very cool. How long have you guys all been together as a band?
Vore started in 1994, so it's been 18 years since the band's been in existence. Remy joined us in 2002, and Jeremy joined us in 2004. So the current band the current lineup has been in existence for I guess about 8 years, but the band as a whole has been in existence for 18.
That's very cool. That's some great longevity you have there. That's cool.
Well, thanks.
So what is going on with you guys right now? What's in the works?
Right now we're promoting our new album, Gravehammer. We've been doing shows and trying to do some promotion, get some distribution, get our stuff out there. And also we've been talking to a couple of record labels. So there's a good chance that Vore will be signed within the next 6 months. So that will change things for us. And probably here at some point the next month or two, we'll start writing for the next Vore record.
That's very cool. Well, good luck with the record label deals. I hope that works out great for you.
Yeah, so do we.
It's been a long time coming, right?
Yeah, I mean, we've heard from a lot of, little record labels, but, a lot of them really can't do for us any more than what we've been doing for ourselves already.
Right.
We've kind of been holding out for the bigger label that can give us more distribution, get us out there more. We had one label a couple of years ago. They wanted us to send them our last album, Maleficus, and 500 euros. It's like, no, it doesn't work like that, man.
Yeah, no doubt, hey?
And they were trying to scam us or something. No, that's the way it works. I'm like, pretty sure that's not how it works.
So I have to ask you, this vinyl album you sent me is killer. How did you guys get on there?
The guy that we recorded Gravehammer with has a musical project called the Lightbulb Detective Agency, and his drummer Amjad is associated with this group called Art Amiss here in Northwest Arkansas. It's kind of a artistic collective, and they do different things. And I guess about a year and a half ago, they decided they were going to press a vinyl release showcasing, the metal bands here in Northwest Arkansas. And I think it's a really good representation of the cream of the crop, so to speak. There's a couple bands that probably should be on it that aren't. I know Space was limited, on vinyl, but yeah, that's kind of how it came about. We were just starting to mix Gravehammer, and Doom Horror was a song that we used as our mixing template. So that was the first song we mixed, and it was kind of in the best condition to be included on something. So we kind of mixed that one really fast and then passed it off to them to press on the record.
Very cool. Well, it's
interesting. I learned that you have to master things and mix things a little bit different if they're going to be pressed on vinyl than if they go onto a CD. So that was kind of a learning experience. I wasn't aware of that.
So is it a lot more work?
It's just, I don't know if it's more work. It just has to be approached in a little different. The way it's explained to me is it can't be as hot of a signal as what you would give to put on a CD, and you kind of have to watch some of the low-end frequencies because I think when it's pressing, if it's too hot, it won't press right. It'll the thing that cuts the wax will skip. It'll actually force it out. That's kind of vague. That's kind of the way it explained to me. So, I thought it was interesting, and it does sound a little different on vinyl. I don't know if you noticed, but the presence of it is a little different than on compact disc. So.
Yeah, vinyl has a sound that cannot be duplicated. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, and if you've got the high-end stereo gear, I mean, it's a classic debate, analog versus digital. So.
Yep, definitely. And the color, just the colors and everything, the way they made that record is pretty cool.
Yeah, it looks really cool. I'm really happy with how they did, and the bands on it are good. I think it's really cool, and we've been buying a few from them because we've been selling a lot of them at shows.
Yeah, well, I appreciate the fact that you had posted about it, because I was like, man, that's going to be cool. So thanks again.
Oh, you bet, and thanks for supporting all the money goes to the Artemis, so thank you for your support.
Oh, no problem. And that's what I want. I want to make sure people are, especially for this, for your current album. Why don't we start with, where can people buy it if they want to pick it up?
The best place for them to go would be to our website at www.vore.org. We would get the most out of it if you want to buy a CD and support the band. Buy it from us. But it's available on Amazon.com. You can order it there. It should be available at most online music retailers. Obviously, you might be able to special order one from a record store. I'm not sure. We've been going through CD Baby for a lot of the distribution. That's how we got it on Amazon. And there's like a physical aspect to that, and I've been kind of curious to see whether you can actually go to a store and order it. But if you have internet access, please order it from us. So.
Right, very good. And do you have merchandise on your site too for sale?
Yes, we have some shirts, and we have our other two other CDs available, and we're going to be getting some more merch here in the next few weeks. So if it looks a little barren, there's more stuff coming.
Okay, very good. And the main reason I bring that up is because I always like to put in these interviews just to remind people, if you like these guys, when you listen to them, help support them, because like right now, you guys are doing it on your own, so the stuff isn't free or cheap.
Right, yeah. Well, it's cool. We really appreciate that, I mean, we appreciate all our fans, but those that would actually, buy stuff from us, we appreciate just a little bit more.
Yeah, no doubt.
No.
I hear you. So, what's the music scene like where you guys are at right now? How often do you guys get a lot of gigs? I mean,
we can. Fayetteville's obviously not really a mecca for death metal, and we're probably the only. For years we were the only death metal band here. But there's some other kind of genres around. There's what's kind of popular here in the South as far as metal is kind of the more sludge kind of. Down meets I Hate God type Weed Eater, I guess, kind of sludge core. I don't know what you call it. Dirt metal. There's a lot of that, and there's a black metal band around called Hymns that is really good. They're on that compilation, on that vinyl. But the scene's okay. People come out for shows. They just can't. The clubs just can't overdo it. There can't be like a metal show every week because that kills the scene really fast.
Right.
It just isn't big enough to support it. But we get some big acts come through. In the past we've had Skeleton Witch played here not too long ago. Vader's been here a couple times. We haven't gotten anything as big as Cannibal Corpse or Morbid Angel or anything like that. But that could happen.
One day, man. One day.
Yeah.
So, what was the beginning for Vore? How did the band come to be? How did you guys get things going?
Me and the other founding guitarist, John Volker, who stepped out of the band in 2007. We were in a band together before Vore for about 3 years, and that band broke up, and we wanted to keep on going. Get some better musicians, and we had a vision of what we wanted to do, and just keep going forward with that. So, that's basically how Vore got started. The kind of remnants of something else.
Very cool. And what was, for you personally, what kind of music did you grow up listening to, and what made you want to do this?
I grew up in the 80s, in the early 80s. I'm 42. So it was stuff like, when I first started getting into metal, it was stuff like Iron Maiden and Sabbath with Dio, and you know, Screaming for Vengeance and Accept and stuff like that. And then as I kind of delved into it, I got into stuff like Merciful Fate, Venom, and Hellhammer was definitely Celtic Frost and things like that. So I started learning to play guitar when I was 14, and you know, I knew the metal guys were the really good guitar players, so I kind of gravitated towards, you know, the heavier stuff. And I guess it just kind of goes from there. You know, when I started getting into metal, death metal didn't exist.
Right.
You know, so I just kind of progressed into, you know, Slayer, into the, you know, the heavier stuff, Scream Bloody Gore, you know, the whole Florida and Gothenburg, Sweden explosions in the late 80s, early 90s, you know, the big death metal. That's when death metal really became, you know, a solid, real thing, you know. So, you know, basically all of it, really. It wasn't like I heard Suffocation and decided I wanted to do that, you know. I was there before it, you know.
Right. That's
the evolution of it, you know.
Yep, that's very neat. So how often do you guys get together and practice and jam?
Usually about three days a week. You know, we'll get together for a few hours and run through stuff if we have a show, and if we don't, then we'll work on new material.
That's a pretty 3 times a week. It's pretty good that you can get everybody actually be together that much.
Well, our bass player, actually, it's most of the time it's just me and the drummer, because our bass player lives in Little Rock, which is 3 hours away. But he practices on his own, and then we get together a couple times a month with him. So, but he works really hard, you know, down in Little Rock. So we usually don't have any problems or anything. I mean, it might be a little bit tighter if he was here with us, but you know, there's never been any problems.
That's good. What where'd you guys record the album at?
We recorded the album locally with a friend of ours up in Springdale, Arkansas, at a studio called it's called Ozark Film and Video Productions. And basically, this facility does corporate films, like for, you know, training films for Walmart or Chevron and places like that. But they've also got a Pro Tools HD studio in there. And the guy that recorded it, Doug Horton, he works there. One of his perks for working there is he gets to use the gear.
Nice. We
would come in on weekends and track drums and guitars and then, you know, stuff like that. So, you know, we got a really good deal on the recording, and Doug really knows his stuff when it comes to recording, you know, and to metal, you know. So it was really cool. We had a lot of fun.
Yeah, can't beat that deal. Jeez.
Yeah.
So, what's the craziest thing that's ever happened to you guys when you've played a show somewhere?
There was an incident where there was a pit going on. This was in Little Rock. We were playing at a venue down there called Downtown Music, and there was an incident once where there's a big pit going on, and then I see someone swinging a leg around like a trophy. And I guess a guy that had a prosthetic limb got in the pit, and it was ripped off of him, and someone else had it.
Oh, jeez.
And it was really pretty funny. I mean, it was all in good spirits, you know.
Right.
But I really admired the guy with the limb not letting something like that prevent him from, you know, getting into a mosh pit and having fun, you know. So. Right,
he was probably still moshing after they took his leg from him.
Yeah, they were all smiles, and it was crazy. I mean, it's just not something you see that much, is an artificial leg go flying out of a mosh pit.
Yeah, no doubt, eh? That's cool.
That was pretty crazy.
Do you have a favorite song to perform when you guys do live shows?
I think lately it's probably been Doomwhore, just because that's kind of the song that we released first, and that's the one that everyone seems to know. So we get a really, really powerful audience reaction whenever we play it. So that's a lot of fun, you know, doing that one. But, you know, I like playing all our songs, really.
I would hope so.
That one's probably the most fun right now.
Right. So, you know, I'm not a musician. I can't even play an instrument. I can't. I have like no talent that way. So I can't even relate. So how awesome is it when you start playing like Doom Horror and the crowd just starts going crazy? How awesome is that energy you get to feed off of?
It's pretty awesome. It's really cool. It's definitely a lot cooler when there's a big room full of people getting into what you're doing than when there's like just a couple people that are indifferent.
Right.
It's hard to explain. It'd definitely be kind of hard to put into words. But it's a rush. It's really cool. There's always a big exchange of energy between the performers and the audience.
Right. Very good.
It cycles itself.
Right. Because I know, when I'm doing a radio show and I'm watching the listener count grow up, that's about the closest thing I can relate to. It's like, yeah, people are digging the music I'm playing,
Yeah. I think it's probably a very similar thing. I used to do a radio show here for 7 years, and I still have, and you probably had this happen to you too, where people come up to you and it's like, dude, you turned me on to Immortal, like 7 years ago. I would never have heard of this band, or stuff like that, So, yeah, I can relate to that. I think that's a pretty good parallel.
Yeah, and it's funny that you mentioned that, because what's awesome about that is not only do I introduce people to bands they've never heard, and I do get that a lot. They're like, oh, just like you said, oh man, I would have never even known about these guys. But I get it too. I find out about a lot of bands that I never would have heard of.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, that's the one thing I miss. Getting the CDs. And finding stuff. I mean, granted, it might be like one CD out of 10 that's like a really good one.
Right. Yeah. And no doubt. And and that's what's so awesome about this gig that I have is, I mean, if it wasn't for this, I would have never even heard of you guys. So
cool.
I'm glad.
Was it? Did you hear from us from Clawhammer? I guess.
Yep. Yeah, through Clawhammer.
Yeah. Good guys. Scott and Brian are really cool.
Yeah, we should probably props to Clawhammer while we're talking about them.
I mean, I've drank with those guys before. I mean, they're really good dudes. They're really sincere. So if any bands are out there listening to this and you want some PR for your album, check out Clawhammer. Yeah,
majority of the interviews I do actually are bands that they send me, so it's pretty awesome.
Excellent. Yeah. They're growing.
Yep.
So that's good.
Yeah, he'll email me a band, and it used to be he'd email me, and I would ask for an interview, and now he emails me and's like, "You want to interview him?"
Awesome.
So, okay, how about the cover of the album? Who designed the cover?
We commissioned an artist that is called. His name is Darkin. It's Darkin with 2 A's, and I spent probably a couple weeks perusing the internet, looking at artists, because we really wanted to have a good cover.
Right.
I wasn't really happy with our last album cover, so I really wanted to have something good, because, when I was a kid, I picked up, like, Peace of Mind. It was, like, one of the first metal records I bought, and it was because of the cover art, and I really wanted something that was like that, where people be impressed with the artwork before they ever heard a note of the record. It's kind of a lost aesthetic, these days. But,
definitely.
So I spent a couple weeks on the internet looking at artists, and, I found him through a link on another artist's website, and there were a couple other artists as well that I emailed, and, to get prices and stuff like that. And we really liked Darkin's style, and, we went with him, and we gave him like kind of a basic idea of what we wanted. We've got our glyph on the guy's chest. Was one of the things that we wanted, the Vore symbol. So, we gave him a little bit, and then he just kind of did the rest. So.
Very cool. And I totally, as a fan, appreciate the fact that people are starting to put some effort and creativity into their covers again, because we definitely went through a phase where that was not the case.
Yeah. I mean, it's not cheap. It's like, it's all about money. With record companies and their revenues hurting, a lot of people don't want to invest in things, but, Darkin was reasonably priced, and we thought, it'd be good. You'd get a lot of it's done really well for us. It's done what we wanted it to do, you know.
Yep.
And that's get people's attention. So it's a worthwhile investment, I think, to put good art on your album cover.
I agree. The first Megadeth album I ever bought was because of the cover.
Oh yeah, which one was that?
First one I ever bought was Rust in Peace.
That's a good album cover.
But just, yeah, I mean, that's what did it for me. I mean, I was like, oh, this cover looks cool. The music's got to be good.
Yeah. Sometimes it doesn't work that way. You know?
That's true.
Meatloaf, Bat Out of Hell, not so much. I'm still sore about that one.
I've never been a Meatloaf fan, so I didn't get sucked into that one.
I'm definitely not a Meatloaf. I'd never heard of him. I was just, oh, this looks cool. Look at this cover, you know. And I got it home, and I thought, man, this sucks. You know, maybe the factory put the wrong music in the tape. No, it was what it was. So that was got a little bit misrepresentation of product there. You know,
yep.
Out of Hell. I mean, that sounds like something Judas Priest would have put out.
You would think it'd be badass. You would think.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, and I totally relate because I'm almost the same age as you, so we're from the same time.
Excellent.
What I just lost my train of thought. Name of the band. How'd you guys come up with Vore?
Okay. I'm glad you asked that. Before Vore, I was in the band that we were in before. We called ourselves Mausoleum. And before we were Mausoleum, we were Mortuary. You know, and it's like you find out, oh crap, there's another band that's got this name, so we have to change it. You know, and then Mausoleum, crap, there's another Mausoleum out there, so we're gonna have to change it. And you know, we decided to try to come up with something that nobody had that was really different. And somehow we came up with the name Primal Vore. And then Mausoleum broke up, and we started, you know, the new band. And we just said, hey, why not just Vore? So that's where it comes from. It's from the Latin word vorare, which means to devour, and to us, it's a description of the human condition that mankind is devouring the environment. You know, he's devouring his resources. You know, plotting his own extinction through consumption. You know,
no doubt there.
We also devour with our metallic might. So
right.
So that's where the name comes from. And then I guess, you know, in the early 2000s, this vorophilia stuff started popping up on the internet. You know, where it's some kind of a sexual fetish where people get off on eating or being eaten, you know, which I guess is, you know, kind of be metal, but no, it's not something that we, you know, relate to.
All right.
We you know, I guess if we'd known about that, if that stuff had been around before, you know, we named the band, we might have named the band something different, but it is what it is. You know, I think it's cool, so.
Well, you just like to be on the forefront of stuff, that's all.
Yeah.
Okay, is there anything else that you want to tell the world about you guys in the band? Anything that we haven't talked about that you want people to know?
We write songs, and we try to write really crunchy, catchy riffs, and I mean, we're heavy. And Grave Hammer's a really good album. It's really thick. So check it out. You know, go online, visit our website at www.vore.org, and if you like what you hear, you know, buy a CD from us or go to iTunes and, you know, download there. We appreciate your support.
Yeah, and I second that. This album is awesome, and it does kick ass, and it is heavy. It's beautiful.
Cool.
You know, it reminds me of something, though, that I was going to ask you. It kind of goes back into, you know, back to the album. What's you guys' creative process for writing songs? Is there like one person kind of takes charge, or, you know, what's your process?
Yeah, usually I'll come up with the guitar riffs, and then sometimes Remy will come up with something on the drums that will inspire a song. But usually, you know, we just kind of we'll get a few riffs and we'll do a little plug and play action and see which ones work together. Then usually once we get 2 or 3 linked up, then we kind of start getting the feel of the song, and we just kind of go down that rabbit hole and see where it leads. a lot of the songs at Gravehammer are a little bit longer than what we normally did. We didn't do that on purpose. You know, we didn't say, hey, let's write long songs. It just kind of, that's just the direction they went. You know, we indulged ourselves a little bit, but on the new album, but you know, none of it's filler. You know, we didn't write any filler songs. Oh, we need another song. Let's just throw something on there. You know, everything's well thought out by us. But you know, more or less, the lyrics come last. And you know, I guess that's just pretty much how it goes. You know, we'll write riffs and kind of put them together, see what works, see how it feels.
Right. Very cool. Thanks for sharing that. I appreciate that.
Hey, you bet.
Okay, I got one last thing to ask. If you could make a radio tag for me.
Sure.
So you can just, you know, this is Paige from Vore, and you're listening to DJ REM.
Hey, this is Paige from Vore, and you're listening to DJ REM.
Very cool, dude. Appreciate it.
Is that right?
Perfect.
Okay, cool.
Yep. You hit it the first time.
Excellent.
You're one of the first in a long time to not